Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Creased Studios.
Woo!
Well, hello there, young man. What's your name?
Kenneth Giles. Can I shoot you?
Hello everyone, and welcome back to Creased Gallery. If you are not familiar with this series, this is where I look at artworks I made and have a little discussion about that topic. Today, we are looking at Superman, and a drawing I made a while back, while taking a look at some of the reactions to the new Superman movie trailers, which seems to have a certain aspect of the Superman fanbase very upset, aka the Snyder fans. But today is very special, as we have our very first guest, my best buddy, Bran.
Hi, my name is Bran. I'm an artist, and you can find my tag here.
Yes, Bran does a lot of cool stuff, and I recommend you should check him out because he is a very good artist.
Thank you.
Bran is with me here today, so he can help me discuss some things about Superman. So I've been scouring the internet, searching for, well, not searching, they kind of just popped up on my feed anyway, but some crazy takes from some of the Snyder fans. So before you and me react to some crazy Snyder fans, let's talk Superman.
Yep, yeah.
Why would you want to do something like that?
So the bullet bounces off, can I?
So this artwork I made in, I think it was like 2022, and it was part of a series where I was doing a bunch of portraits, right? And for this Superman, I kind of wanted it to feel very unique, right? Ron.
What are you... What? I thought I was part of the tweet discussion, bro.
You're talking the whole thing!
Shit?
No, I'm having a discussion with you, bro!
Oh my goodness.
And I did the Superman, and I kind of wanted it to feel very unique in my own kind of style.
Yeah.
You suck. You suck, dude.
Why are you pausing, bro? You're talking about your own bro. Like, what do you want me to say to that, man?
It's like, yeah, I mean, that's cool. I don't know. Fine.
Yeah, that's
okay,
cool.
cut out, whatever.
You just want to be gassed up, you.
Jesus Christ. Anyway, there was...
Yeah, I hate you! Jordan, I just gotta say, I love this artwork.
Is that real?
That's... Why would I be lying?
That didn't sound real, dude.
Bro.
Alright, so this was part of a series where I was doing a bunch of digital portraits of iconic characters, right? So for this Superman, I wanted it to feel very much my own style. There was some inspiration by Jim Lee, who does a kind of iconic modern Superman look, and then Neil Adam, who does that very classic Superman style. Have you heard of those folks, Bron?
I have heard of those folks. In fact, I recently experimented with an artwork myself, inspired by Jim Lee. I very much enjoy his style.
So specifically with Neil Adam, he does a very iconic way of drawing the Superman S. So if you see on my drawing, it's kind of not the most traditional Superman S you've seen, but I like that kind of, you know, that end part where it goes back up to the top. I like the way Neil Adam kind of illustrates his Superman S, so that was kind of taken from him. I like my Superman with a very strong jawline, so I went very heavy with that. As you can see, this man's head is a brick.
Yeah, dude. You know, that reminds me of another brick drawing you did.
Yeah, speaking of, you're a brick. Everyone can see that you're a brick. It's happening.
Yeah.
It's in this one. You're a brick. You see him?
That's awesome, man. I don't see him, but I'm sure I will when I'm watching this.
How do you feel? How do you feel as a brick?
Red.
Alright. So, another thing I love about Superman and I wanted to do with this is the hairstyle. A kind of very fun detail in a lot of Superman drawings that I enjoy is the kind of swoop in his hair that goes down to his forehead. A lot of the times they draw it like an S, and S for Superman. I just think that is very cool. Part of his design that I put into this drawing here as well.
I agree. I think his hair is probably like one of the top 3 most iconic things about him.
So this drawing was, yeah, basically my attempt of getting those iconic things about Superman in a drawing. But when I look at general discord online, a lot of things that are iconic to me about the character, like his goodwill, being a Boy Scout and stuff like that, it doesn't seem like really anyone understands what this character is. Like, when looking at the discourse for this upcoming movie, it is so all over the place. And I think that is thanks to things like Snyder and the DCU that really warped what the images of Superman is.
I couldn't agree more. I very much am not a fan of the Snyderverse, which is why I was brought on here today to give my opinions.
But yeah, exactly. To me, Superman is a Boy Scout. An alien who doesn't act alien because he was raised by humans, right? And a lot of that, I feel, doesn't translate well into those movies. He seems very alien. He does not seem like he likes people. And to me, Superman is someone who can be approachable to people. The way he looks, the way he acts. He can go and save a kid from a building, and the kid's like, oh wow, cool costume, and he'll be like, thanks, my mom made it for me. Which is something that appears in the Tim Sale book that you actually gifted me, Superman for All Seasons.
I did give that to you because, that's one of my favorite comics is Tim Sale and Jeff Loeb's Superman for All Seasons. I think that's some of the best versions of the character, and it has some beautiful drawings in there.
Yeah, exactly. I think just the way that comic is written, it's very simple early start of Superman. And the way he is presented in that book, there is no reading of that in Snyder's DCU.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Like I said, I'm not a big fan of it.
Yeah. Me personally, I think Man of Steel is okay. Like, there are very certain things I think that movie gets right. I think it gets Zod right. I think Zod is maybe the best part of that movie to me. I think Snyder's direction of having that kind of more grounded, deep, dark works for a character like Zod. But if Zod is the best thing about your Superman movie, I don't think your Superman movie is very good.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that the best part of the movie is Zod, but I also can't lie, the scene where the courthouse gets absolutely annihilated and he's just sitting there, like, flexing on him.
Yeah,
that's a great scene. I think it really encapsulates the character of what Superman would do.
Of course, I think that's what Superman would and should do. I think just there is a certain lack of that humility to Snyder's Superman. And I think you and me agree that I don't think it truly is Henry Cavill and the casting of Henry Cavill in that fault. I really just think it is the direction that muddles that character into being almost nothing.
Also, Superman is supposed to be colorful, and the fact that, like, that entire movie is shot like a mud puddle just also bothers me.
Exactly.
There's not, like, a single bit of saturation in that movie.
Absolutely. And that also goes to just, like, the pure essence of that character, is that he's supposed to be approachable. He's not supposed to be seen as kind of this disgusting alien that we need to be feared and Batman needs to travel across the world to beat the shit out of. He's supposed to be a person who, he might not be perfect and might cause some of the destruction, not to the point of what is in Man of Steel, but having that approachability I just think is not in Henry Cavill's Superman at all.
Yeah, he's just not a very charismatic take on the character. He's sort of just like a plank of wood that flies around and, causes destruction.
Honestly,
I'm not a big fan of that take. I think the character has so much more potential, which is why I'm very excited for James Gunn's new Superman movie coming out in July.
Exactly, and I honestly think a plank of wood flying around would be a lot more approachable than whatever Henry Cavill was doing. And to me, it has really shocked me to my core about seeing the reaction to the new Superman movie by James Gunn, and the Snyder fans absolutely tearing it down to the core, which is why I truly brought you here today, is I want to get your takes and your reaction to seeing some of these people's takes about the new Superman trailer.
All right, I'm ready to see some psychopaths on the internet.
So let's start with our first one. This is by Renz on X, no longer Twitter. It's X.
Okay, wait, whoa.
What's up?
I don't know if you should just be going around like screaming the names of the people who have these horrible takes.
You know what?
They'll be on screen.
Fuck them. Our first one here, Renz is saying, is this the biggest downgrade in history? And is a still picture of Henry Cavill Superman. And then, by comparison, I'm sorry, I just looked at the reply down here.
Crazy.
Anyways,
okay, that's crazy.
An in-moving shot of David Cornsweet's Superman. So, just this post is a bunch of goddamn nonsense. You have just posting a still shot. And then this, what are you supposed to think?
It's not a bad picture either. That's just like a dude in motion.
It's not a bad picture. I think a lot of
that's what I think I would make that face too if I was flying at Mach speeds. But
absolutely. I think a lot of the criticism about how Superman moves in general in this film is crazy. Like, there'll be a couple ones later on, but like people seeing him fly and be like, why does he look so stretchy? It's because it's the perspective of the camera. Like, I don't.
That's what people look like moving forward.
Absolutely. And I think people who like watch that Snyder movie see Superman standing still and like, okay, I'll be fair here, and I think the action towards the end of Steel, minus the fact that Superman maybe killed 5,000 people, I think the action looks good. But you're comparing it to, first of all, a movie that's not even out yet, and also a movie by just a different director and a different style, you know? Superman in the trailer, he knocks someone's teeth out, and he does seem powerful. But it's not going for that same powerfulness as Snyder, and I think it's just completely unfair for us to take these two images and compare them like this. So, go on to our next one by Entertainment Biz. Another DC disaster loading. Superman is about to flop just like the Flash. This ain't it. So let's take a look at the clip he started.
Okay, I'm ready. Yeah, so what I'm guessing is happening here is that this person's not a fan of the fact that the camera is moving in circles, similarly to the Flash.
Yeah,
but
so
my objection to that is this movie just like looks nicer.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the same cinematographer that did Flash is working on Superman, but he also worked on James Gunn's Suicide Squad as well, which I also think looks significantly better than the Flash. So, just I'm in love with this guy's
I think what also contributes to the fact of the Flash looking the way it does is because that movie was in production hell for like 5 years.
Absolutely.
I don't know if that's the exact metric on that, but it was in production hell for a long time.
Absolutely. The Flash
and then just sort of released after all the controversies regarding the star of the movie.
Yeah,
So,
The Flash to me seemed like one of the biggest horror stories in filmmaking ever.
which is funny because the Flash is a very simple character.
Absolutely. But they had to add Michael Keaton's crusty ass lips in it, so I'm sure that's why it took
Michael
6 years.
Keaton's crusty ass lips did make an appearance, and I don't think they added much.
I think it saved the whole movie, if you ask me.
I don't think anything could save that movie.
Yeah, so just this guy's comment about Superman's about to flop like the Flash is just like, you can tell it's just out of pure malice of what this movie is, without any, like, even what their video is comparing the two shots. Like, look at this one, the horrible CGI Christopher Reeve with this shot of the Justice League. Like, what is comparing these two shots besides you're trying to make a point that it looks like garbage?
Yeah, I think also the fact that, to our knowledge, this movie, the James Gunn Superman movie, is not using, AI and deepfakes to revive dead actors. I think that's also
You think
plus
you think that's what this was? I'm looking at that and I genuinely cannot tell what they did to achieve that. It looks so odd.
AI and deepfakes, dude.
You think it was AI and deepfakes?
Yeah.
I mean, it's gotta be. I feel like CGI artists would at least have something at least presentable.
I mean,
like,
that is
shot was ugly.
Early Valve model.
that's Superman on the PS2 model.
Superman in Half-Life 1. Like, that's nah.
Absolutely.
Get it out of here.
So, our next one by Mariano says, they f***ed the DCU up because they rushed things and overcrowded Batman v Superman with characters. And we now have a cast shot of James Gunn's upcoming Superman. So this, I think, is just a whole load of bullshit. This is clearly, first of all, there's 3 Supermans in this picture. They're all the same character. And then half of these pictures are just people who work at the Daily Planet, which I'm sure will not be getting anything more than like 5 minutes of screen time.
And also, the whole Justice League there that this person's complaining about being there, that's more than what any other Superman movie has done, is just establish that we are in the DC universe, you know?
Exactly.
I don't see a problem with that. I don't think any of them are going to play key critical roles. I think this is still very much a Superman movie.
Absolutely. I think it was just the fact that this guy had that. I guess there was complaint with Batman v Superman with characters. I don't even know if it was overcrowded with characters. It was just all the characters in that movie were ass. Another thing with kind of this comparison with Batman v Superman, which, why are we comparing this movie to Batman vs. Superman in the first place? But anyway, that movie also had to establish Batman in a way. And I know this movie is establishing basically a whole universe, but it's doing it in a way from the trailers it seems like natural, fitting to what the story of Superman is. Like, he is saving people around the world, and the Justice League are also doing that. In Batman vs. Superman, you had to establish all those characters and establish maybe the worst live-action cinematic representation of Lex Luthor I've ever seen in my life. It's just like a weird comparison. Why he bald, bruh? He's not even bald. He's Mark Zuckerberg in that
I'm
movie.
saying in Batman vs Superman, he's not even bald, bro.
Yeah, why? It's like, even in the Richard Donner Superman in the 70s, why ain't he bald too? He had a wig, but
I know, like,
that
what is
man was
wrong
shaved.
with... Why is there so much bald discrimination, bro?
We gotta commend James Gunn for, at least for that, for giving us
For having a bald man on screen, bro. That's brave.
Give us
Two
a bald
bald
man
men.
on
I mean,
screen.
look, Metamorpho is right there.
Metamorpho is also bald. More bald people in my movies, please. And less
More baldies, bro.
less Mark Zuckerberg weird little piss jar people. Remember in that movie when he gave somebody a piss jar?
What?
In Batman vs Superman, Lex Luthor gave somebody a piss jar.
Is that real?
It is real.
Dude, I forgot that movie, bro.
Yeah, probably better off. Yep, this one's one of my favorites. This is a post by Starman. Superman himself posted this. A Green Lantern should not be a moron. And it is reacting to Guy Gardner using his Green Lantern powers to flip off a truck. First of all, that's... Guy Gardner is a moron. I don't know what the statement here was.
Bro looks like that, and people still expect something out of him.
Exactly. You have this character. This guy is putting the fact that Green Lantern should not be a moron. There is a character that is Green Lantern and a moron. Let's move on, you know?
Yep.
This one's fun. This is from Ben Affleck's The Batman. How did James Gunn become the head of DC Studios? The answer has been in front of you.
I'm confused as to what I'm looking at.
So I'm assuming
What is
it
this
is
point?
is James
What
Gunn.
is he trying to say about his hands?
That James Gunn has become the head of DC Studios because he is part of the Illuminati and has made a triangle with his hands on the Hollywood poster for the Guardians.
That, bro,
So do you think that James Gunn is part of the Illuminati?
if I'm being honest, I don't care as long as he makes good movies. All I see here is he's trying to do a little bit of a hand pose there.
Yeah, he's
You know,
giving
just trying to
them
look
a
cool.
little bit to the I had to do it to you.
And it's not even that triangle shaped. If you look at it, it's more of a diamond.
It is a little bit more of a diamond.
Listen, bro, we're doomed.
We're doomed. I hope this new Superman movie doesn't make me join a rebellion or something. But I do want to say here that even though we are here defending James Gunn's Superman a lot, I do not think that he is immune to criticism or anything like. But the criticism that is being lobbed at this movie is so nonsense that people are coming out here and saying he is part of the Illuminati. All right. Another post from Entertainment Biz. This man is on a roll. This Superman ain't saving the world. He's struggling to save the box office. Looks absolutely pathetic.
Dude, what do you think movies are trying to do? Movies try to make money. That's not like a...
This post seems to me like Superman kicked down this guy's door and like kicked his cat. There's such a weird hatred towards this, and I just don't understand. It has to be this weird, it's like a weird like cult-like reaction to this movie.
People need to either watch the movie or don't.
Absolutely.
And that the fact that they're sad about Mr. Snyder's lack of involvement, need to realize that, all good things or bad things must come to an end.
Yeah, especially bad things.
Yep, like the Snyderverse.
This is a post from Oshimaru. We have motherfuckers out here trying to convince us that James can't make an actually good-looking movie.
That's just a fun shot, and they had no complaints when this exact shot was in Guardians of the Galaxy 3 with Adam Warlock.
With Adam
But
Warlock.
I thought it looked cool there. I remember a tweet back when I was on Twitter and back when that movie was coming out. Oh, look at how the flying looks. It's so cool. It's the same thing, but people are hating on it now because it's Superman.
Yeah, I think it serves what it's supposed to do. It's a high impact like flying scene. Not to take anything away, I'll give points to Snyder here. I think his flying scenes looked good as well. But just that it's like this hopeless like comparison of these two things that really have nothing to do with each other. And also just trying to convince us that James can't make an actually good movie. Guardians 3, that scene where they go to Ego's homeworld is a beautiful shot of just effects and not even just
Guardians 2.
Yeah, Guardians 2. Just makeup. He does makeup great. Just like his direction, I think, does make a lot of things look good. I think I've talked to you a little about it, how some of the early trailers I think didn't look great. There was a little like bluish tint to it. I think was kind of weird looking. But again, these are like very early trailers, and just saying that like in the entirety of James Gunn's discography, he hasn't made one single good looking movie is crazy. Filmography, whatever. All right, this is a post from Danger. Damn, the Gunn fans were right. Literally All-Star Superman, shot for shot, comic accurate. Again, another example of just
And just like
posting two random things and calling it one,
Nah, man, Superman can fight and also be like, you know, a nice, like, warm person.
Absolutely.
The fact that, you know, this Superman that we're going to see can be badass as well as be nice and, like, save kittens from trees or whatever. Like, that's, like, why can't we have both?
Yeah, and to that point, so this guy's profile picture is, I'm assuming, a picture of him and Zack Snyder meeting, or somebody with Zack Snyder. But when looking at this and talking about, like, that kind of more human side of Superman, in Batman v Superman, there's a scene where Bruce and Clark are kind of in their office and they're at heads with each other. And Bruce says to him, it's like, every time you and the Daily Planet write a picture or a newsletter about your superhero saving a cat from a tree, that to me is like so disingenuous to that movie. You have this throwaway line mentioning that kind of more human side of Superman, but it is not seen at all in the movie. Like, that line holds no weight to anything. Something that I think we are seeing in that new Superman trailer is kind of both sides of that.
I agree.
Our next post comes from the DC Connoisseur. I reckon 70% of Superman's scenes are of him screaming at someone or something. This guy has provided a nice post of Superman. I think he looks real nice here. You think they edited his mouth to be a little bigger?
It does look edited to be, like, a little bit larger. Either way, this is just, like, a very, like...
It's a lot of these are, like...
watching, like, an anime, and they have, like, a freeze frame from, like, a middle of a fight scene.
Yeah.
And it's, like, it looks awkward. I feel like that's what's going on here. It's just, like, what? It's just opening his mouth.
There's, like, a weird disdain of, like, Superman showing emotion at this point. It's, like, the man is, like, there's that scene that people criticize in the trailer about him being interviewed by Lois. And I think the way he screams that, I don't think it's perfect. But still, it's like he is showing emotion of what he thinks is right.
He's not aura farming when a courtroom blows up.
He's not Jesus. He's a man who was raised by a farmer in Smallville. You know, he's not this, like, holier than thou character, and I think that's fine of him not being perfect all the time. So we have a post here from Bob 2.0. Superman having red under eye skin because of using heat vision is so laughable. So did you see this part of the trailer?
Yeah, I have seen this, yes.
Yeah, so this brings up an interesting point to me about kind of taking a new avenue with this character and, like, where I think it works and where I think it does not. So the whole thing about him being a little bit weaker, I think James Gunn recently posted a thing about how he wants his Superman to be a little weaker. And I think it is fine to not have just a one-on-one comic representation. But when it comes to that and the difference between what James Gunn is doing here with Superman and what Zack Snyder did with Superman, it is essentially that Zack Snyder removed almost everything that makes that character the character. Having Superman be a little weaker might not be something everybody is familiar with. It still has that essence of Superman.
I feel like he's not going to be perfect. I mean, that's not the point of his character. The point of his character is to be fighting for what he believes in, you know? The key word there is fight. There would be no interesting things going on if he just won every fight he was a part of. Then it would just be, like, boring.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people's thoughts on Superman, I don't know if you've heard this, is that he's kind of a boring character. And to me, yes. I've never really understood it, you know? Because I feel like I understand and I enjoy the aspects of him being that guy who was raised in a small town again, and, like, having those values while also being a very strong person and, like, being able to deal with all these problems. A lot of people's, like, who are not too familiar with the character is like, oh, he's so strong and he cannot be defeated by anything but a green rock. So I think the change of Superman being a little weaker in this movie, I don't think hurts the character as much as what he was acting like in Man of Steel or even Batman vs. Superman. So this is a post by Goopy Bane, who is replying to a press junket interview about kind of the design of Superman and him having the trunks and stuff. Grown 30-plus-year-old men talking about red underwear on a fictional character instead of its ethos and purpose. This is the reason why this genre is dying.
You know, again, complaining to complain.
Yeah, I want to hone into the part about talking about red underwear on a fictional character. That is what superheroes are. Superman is, like, he's the basis of every, like, parody of a Superman. You see, like, kids dressing up as superheroes on a TV show or a sitcom. They put the underwear inside out their trunks, you know? That's what superheroes are, and I think it's such a weird thing that we have taken as, like, watching movies that, superheroes aren't supposed to look like superheroes anymore.
Yeah, it's completely ridiculous.
What do you think of the Snyderverse Superman suit?
I hate it. It just looks extremely uncomfortable.
It looks very military.
I hate that shade of blue,
you know?
too. I hate that shade of dark blue where it just looks so, like, meshy and, like, yucky.
Yeah, it's very military to me, you know? And
it's, like, very military.
When I look at
that, given the fact that people complain when the MCU does things like that where it's like looks too tactical, but then when DC does it, they prefer that. I just just find that like a weird little thing.
Yeah, and not to cut any slack on like some like Marvel suits as well. I think I have a lot of problem with those as well. But even with just like people preferring that to this new gun suit, which I think looks pretty nice and is a nice representation of Superman as a character. Even the kind of belt part of Snyder's Superman, it's a belt, but it's not, and he has designs on the side. Like, they're doing everything to go out of their way to not include the thing that makes him Superman. Going down to the last ones. This is a post by Josh Harding. Sorry, but imagining Jimmy Olsen as a CIA agent who gets introduced and then immediately shot in the head is far more creative and cool than this lame. So this is a behind-the-scenes photo of a look at Jimmy Olsen's desk. The actor who plays Jimmy Olsen did a little bit of, like, this is my day at work. And at the end, he showed a picture of him and two girls sitting down. And this guy find that so egregious that he would rather have Jimmy Olsen be shot in the head as the movie starts.
Bro, just say you don't like the character. It's not that serious.
I don't understand, like, there was a little bit of Jimmy Olsen in the Donner one, but, like who would ever prefer him just dying?
Like, just say you want him to, like, you know, not be a big prominent character. You don't have to go that far, man. I get it.
But also Jimmy Olsen needs to die, and I get this guy's point, actually.
True.
Look at him. You think he deserves to die? I do.
I don't.
So we're gonna end this off on a kind of a nice note. I don't know if you saw this, but after a lot of comic creators visited the Superman set, they actually signed and kind of left little drawings and like supported the movie. Were you able to check this out?
I have not seen this up until now. I think this is awesome.
This is just very cool in our world now, how comic book movies have become so prevalent. Inviting the people who made it all happen. I guess inviting them to the film set. I'm not sure the true context of this. Just having them like be able to see the movie, work on it, or see it early is just like, it's just a nice thing to do for the people that paved the way to the character. I think just like reaching out that extra hand to just give honor, and this I guess post here where they were all able to sign and draw something, like Jim Lee, who we talked about earlier, is there. Like, it's just super cool to see that.
Yeah, it's really cool.
So I want to thank Bran for joining me here today and taking a look at some of the more deprived aspects of the Snyder community.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. Again, here's the link to my page, and everyone should subscribe to Jordan.
Why, thank you. Truly, I think I'm excited for this movie. Again, it's not out, so a lot of this criticism is just nothing. I'll definitely talk to you about it when it comes out, but I genuinely think it's a step in the right direction for Superman as a character.
Yes, I agree.
Again, thank you everybody for listening. Please check out Bran. I'll put all the stuffs in the description below. And if you have not checked out any other entries in this series, please check them out. And we'll see you next time on Creased Gallery.
Yay!